Motherfucker gets heavy. Give the argonite, the blue argonite, get that energy out there to everybody. Well, welcome to the full moon edition of the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Big Pontiac. I am the holder of the infinite ball game created by the Hero Twins. I am also the Galactic Daddy-O, welcoming each and every one of you to the Galactic Patio from Minnesota to the universe. Not drinking alcohol tonight, just sugar-eyed moon kiss water. So pop them if you got them, smoke them if you want them. I usually would have some incense going, but my cat, I don't know if he's got allergies. I think that shit would fuck with him too much. So, no smells. That's why I was putting the eucalyptus on things, kind of give it some, because sometimes the essential oils will give it a little more vibration. But it definitely using the Yucatan wolf, and yeah, we need to give some direction, kind of thanks on this full kind of moon energies. Actually, the full moon, the peak was at 10:45 my time, Central Time. So, who has joined me so far? I saw Brother James was up in here. What's happening? Hey, Adam. Hey, Sean. What's happening? PJ, my man. Hey, PJ, you know Davis fell down again, was rolling around in pain. I mean, that guy, it's like every time he fall down, you know he gonna get hurt. So don't be surprised he out some more weeks. He sucks. I mean, he just was not worth what they gave up. They won the little fake championship. Hey, Lorenzo, what's happening? So I saw Davis fall out. He fall out. But let me see. The Wolves got beat by the Raptors. They should have beat them. My Winnipeg Jets beat the Wild. I think it was 4-1 when I quit watching. And last I looked, the Canadians was beating the shit out of USA. Anthony Davis ass about to get traded. I'm telling you, man, every time he have some contact, and somebody be near him, you know, he gets hurt. He's rolling around. I mean, it's just, that dude is like, he should be in some cellophane or some shit. You know, it's like, you know, they used to have the bubble movie about the dude who lived in a bubble. They need to put that plastic wrap, you know, the bubble wrap around Davis. Maybe that'll keep him from getting hurt so much. But every time we turn around, you know, he's hurt in dress clothes. Yeah, Timberwolves, they had the Raptors. They shouldn't have lost that game. They shouldn't have lost that game. I mean, it was a back-to-back. They won last night. Yeah, they won last night without Edwards. They lost tonight with him. So, but didn't shoot well. Then I was just watching the Avalanche play the Golden Knights. They was up 2-0. It was interesting watching them fight for a minute. So, but yeah, welcome everybody. Again, it's the full moon edition, so I am going to do some sounds from here. So if anybody wants to get that healing, welcome to join. And thank you for bearing with me. I know yesterday, oh my goodness, I was looking back at the shows and I am just sniffling and snorting and sniffling and snorting. So 80 ankle bent like crazy. Yeah, I saw that it did, but remember, it didn't bend any worse than Joe Burrow's. Joe Burrow's got his ankle completely like this. As he landed, his ankle landed like that. As his knee and body was going the other way, Joe Burrow's had full flexion. So I didn't think it was any different than that. Burrow put tape on it and came back. But it's like it always happens to him. Why is that? And I've wondered for a while, can they put CGI on some of these injuries? Because I really think Paul George's injury was CGI. That compound fraction that he had. And I've said before, I reffed a game where dude shot a layup. He just came down. He ain't come down on anybody. It was a dude who couldn't really play, that his team was doing the layup line. This is when I was doing the league under the Target Center. There's a Lifetime Fitness, and I used to do the Target League in the winter. And a guy just went up for a layup and compound fracture. Yeah. I like the direction the league is going with the young boys, though. I'm giving them a chance. You know, like as I said before, it's easier. One reason they like keeping these old dudes, it's easier to script with them because they know the script better. Because you can't, as I said before, guy from Wake Forest, his name Chris Paul. Chris Paul, there are a million dudes 6 foot that has his skill level, that's younger, faster, quicker, play better defense. He's just the same age as LeBron. And you notice there's no thing about Paul retiring, which is interesting. It couldn't wait to, I mean, and he has bounced around the league where you could almost look at him as a journeyman too. He's been traded enough times where you got to look at him as a journeyman. But who is it? Harrell, Covington? Who is the dude that plays with, that used to play with Boston, that plays with Utah? It's remarkable how the league has the same players and they have the same style. Like, what's the odds of that? What's the odds of that? I believe so, because of that Paul George injury too. And when Dak went out the other season, it was quite funny that his Sir the Mattress commercial pops right up after they show him in tears. Yeah, that's pretty cold how they do it. Like right now, Zimmerman's house went up for sale, $2 million. Evergrove, I think it's called. Man, the Lakers shouldn't have won the game against the Jazz today. LeBron scored. The Lakers shouldn't have won. Oh, the Lakers did end up winning. Wow. 33 in the second half. They love that number, don't they? I quit watching the game and started watching the hockey game. AD's injury prone. Yeah, Chief guy. He sure is. It was rigged. They all are rigged. You've done betting for a minute? I don't really bet on pro basketball too much. That Nugget game was rigged too. Shoot, all of them rigged. All the games is rigged. It ain't one game that ain't rigged. Now, as I said before, you know, you look at the Tyson-Buster Douglas fight. There was a point where Tyson saw he had to fight. So there's a point where there is some organic play allowed, but the outcome is never in doubt. The outcome is never in doubt. They hold to a script enough to keep the outcome never in doubt. And that's what we see over and over again. We see that the outcomes are never in doubt, even though what goes on the rest of the games, because it is some organics parts of the game. But see, this is what you have to understand if you watch the Globetrotters enough. If you study the Globetrotters enough, it's the same thing. There's a point where they just let them play, and then there's a point where they're doing their tricks. And that's how the NBA is. It's a point where they have to put a script in to... What? Okay, they solved that shit earlier. Okay. But it's a point where the Globetrotters do the tricks, and it's a point where they play. And this is what you see in the NBA. It's a point where they're just letting them play, and then it's a point where the agenda has to be put in there. I mean, we see free throws pushed out. We see dunks pushed out. We see layups that should be made, roll around, pushed out. We see incredible shots that no way should go in, especially not consistently. What do we see? We see consistent shots. So we know. Them steroids making them bones weak. AD wasn't that big when he was with the Pelicans. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he wasn't. Nobody paid attention to him. Hey, the one Aggie Pride. Hey, thank you for joining. Yep. Oh, it's been like that, though. That's what people have to understand, Chief. It's been like that. It's been all from the beginning. This is how they created it. They always created, as I've said before, gamblers created mostly were the early NFL owners. And so, and they just took the script because the college games were scripted as well. Easier to script back then, wasn't as much crazy passing. But as Red Grange has opened up, college opened up the eyes. I was watching, I think it was the Duluth Eskimos, and I found a place you could get a Duluth Eskimo jersey. They was a traveling football team. These dudes played 30 games one season. 30 games. Ernie Nevers. You can look up Ernie Nevers, but I found a place that makes those old uniforms like that. The old 1920s and 30s. Remember, and if you didn't know, Ernie Davis or Ernie Nevers has the record tied with Gale Sayers. I think Dub Jones was the other one. Doug Jones' dad, Dub, that played with the Giants, I think. They all had 6 touchdowns in the game. Maybe Sean Alexander, too. Gale Sayers could have definitely broke the record because they had the ball on the 1. And George Hallis did not give it to Gale because he didn't want Gale to break Ernie Nevers' record. He's probably told not to let him break his record, is what I'm guessing. Probably was told not to because they had the ball on the 1. He could have easily broke the record, and they held him back. Like I said, Adrian Peterson, 6-7 yards. Jefferson, about to break Randy Moss' rookie record. All they had to do was 2 passes, one decent pass of 20 yards. Yeah, because that's bonus money. That's bonus money, and that's bogus. They did Barry Sanders the same way. I don't know if y'all remember Barry Sanders was about to get, if he led the league in rushing, he was going to get $100,000 bonus. They held him out the game because it was a playoff game the next week, and they was in the playoffs. He had a chance to break or lead the league in rushing or a rookie record, I forget. But I want to say lead the league in rushing. He was within 100 yards or less. And, yeah, they didn't even play. Over $100,000 bonus. They kept him up. AD is made of glass. Yeah, and I'm not saying it didn't look bad, but it's just like, just every time he falls down or somebody falls into him, you get that feeling that he's about to be hurt. And that's just how the feeling I get. It's like, he's about to be hurt. So we'll see. I don't know if anybody's has got any meditation in or anything or any alone time, but the energies, again, the energies are 3 days before and the 3 days after. I came on now, even though the peak of the energies was this morning, to if there's anyone that wants to try to, work on your awareness. That's what do you think about The Rock and this XFL situation? You think it's worth watching? The USFL is coming to a league too. USFL is starting sometime in the next year or so. The XFL, that's why it was bogus when Bob Costas, when he interviewed McMahon about the league and said, well, how do we know it's not scripted like your wrestling? And I'm looking at this thing thinking, even those NFL scripted, and but yet you guys giving him the bad publicity. I was like, why are you giving him the bad publicity when these other leagues are scripted? You ain't asking them that. So, I understand. I understand. I think some people made some good points. A lot of young people didn't even know who The Rock is. Rock wrestled years ago. Rock got to be late 40s to early 50s. He ain't no young guy anymore. That's why he can't wrestle every day. All the vintage gear, them and Mitchell and Ness. It was somebody else I found though that had that jersey. Wasn't Mitchell and McNess, but yeah, Ebbets. I had to check that out. But it was a place that had them sweaters. It's kind of sweet. I can show it. Let me grab this. I'll show it. I had another book, football book that I hate I lost. I remember I was working with a guy and he saw how much I paid for that other book. He's like, well, I'd never pay $25 for a book. AD's overrated. I agree. But this is the first 50 years and they tell on themselves. It's kind of just a cool adventure. I used to have this poster. I had a poster like this. Like when I was young, I went to the Hall of Fame, like between 73 and probably 76, 77. I went to the Hall of Fame like 5 times with a bunch of different groups. But that's old time stuff. That's how the old time stuff looked. That's George Hallis who founded the Bears. And the Packers were originally the Acme Packers. And that's Curly LeBeau, who the stadium's named after. He played for Notre Dame, and he played for the Packers. And this is the jersey I'm talking about. This is Ernie Nevers, Duluth. You know, it's too damn cold up there to play football, so that's why they was a barnstorm team. Now, this cat right here is interesting. This is a cat called Mel Hine. After his pro football career, and I think he played for the Giants. He played center and linebacker because, you know, until 1960, they went both ways. And there was no substituting until, I want to say, I can't think of when they got rid of the no substitution rule. But it was almost like soccer. There was a no substitution rule. And this is Bronco Nagurski, played with the Bears. This is Byron Wizard White. He later became a Supreme Court justice in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. This is Paul Whitfield. I guess he's most popular. He was married to Jane Mansfield. I know that's a name that don't mean nothing to nobody. But as I say, you see the early Marduk symbol of the ram, the goat. Yeah, and they had moved to Los Angeles. This is Lenny Moore. Again, look at him, marked with the 24. But face mask. See the face mask. But see, that Coats is sweet with them stripes on the sleeves. That shit's sweet. But again, you know, this is how long they've been putting the 24 on us. Paul Hornung, Packer, neck roll. I used to wear this as a junior, playing receiver. I'd hurt my neck in practice tackling the motherfucker. So my junior, I wore a neck roll. And this goes up to 1964, so these are still very crude. They don't even use these. This face mask is called a bird cage. They don't even use that shit anymore. And then we don't have the individual, you know, his hands are taped, or these are styrofoam-like pads. They were still wearing this when I was a boy, styrofoam pads. But this gives you a lot of history of the fix. That's what I like about it. A lot of history of the fix. Oh, they are. They are very high-paid actors. Hey, what's up, the Magbone? Why this is and it really historically you can look at it. When the NFL went on strike and they got the replacement players, the first players that walked the picket line was Joe Montana. And we know that Lawrence Taylor was a drug addict. So, of course, you know, not getting them checks hurt him. Even though he was wealthy, he was blowing through his money. And so those were the two responsible really for breaking, you know, crossing over and busting the fucking strike. And that is why baseball has a way stronger union. We have the sport that makes the most. We have the sport that makes the most money. Football by far is the biggest revenue earner with less games, but they earn the most revenue out of all the other sports. And they have the worst contracts. They have the worst contract. They're in the greater chance of getting hurt, getting injured, but yet they have the worst contracts. And then the way they let the linemen stick it to the rookies, because the lineman was mad at the rookie salaries. So it's hey, what's up, Edward, my man? What's happening? I missed the live stream earlier, but you watched the recap. You had me laughing. You said you was getting old when you're looking for the remote when it was in your hand. Oh yeah, I sure was doing that shit. I was like holding this mug and I was holding the remote. You know, I was holding the remote and shit. I'm like looking like where the goddamn remote and shit. I'm looking for it. This motherfucker like damn. You know, that's some old man and shit. I'm going to believe athletes are of course they are. Of course they are. They're trained to be that. They're trained to be that. And as the higher you go, you see it. You know, they see the fix as they go to big colleges. And now I have to say that, you know, the fix is on the HBCU colleges too, because there's point spreads on them. The old time gear is similar to ancient Omen culture dress. Oh yeah. You know, and to show you again, a part people miss when they look at the Omen helmets, a part that they miss is they miss this piece here. This little piece here between his eyes is the first face mask. That little piece right there ain't just part of the design. There's a piece right here, and that's the early face mask. I can't think of the name of it, but there is a name. This piece is called something. So when you look at these omen heads, you have to realize if you look at that little piece right there, that's part of the helmet. See, the Moors don't none of them, to know about that because they don't study it enough. But and only really it'd be and I hate to use the word priest, but these helmets would have been the priest king, basically. The spiritual person would have commanded it. What is them hard? And I saw those on that sign or some people. What? They had a weird looking helmet back then. Yeah. Like when my dad was a sophomore, I found the helmet too. I found a copy of the helmet on Pinterest, and it was like a soft piece went over that was almost, it was kind of shaped like a face mask, but it strapped you in. He kind of said like the old World War II pilots that talked and got their oxygen. But I found one of those helmets, and I had a leather helmet. Well, no. How do I want to? So we handed out the equipment, and I had a chance to have one of them old leather because when I first started playing little boy football, all they did is they took the old equipment from the junior highs and they gave it to the boys, little boys football. And some of the players didn't have their own helmets. And if you didn't have your own helmet, they had leather helmets with face masks on them. And one time I had one for a couple of days and I gave it back or something. There was leather. The helmets was made with leather. They were leather helmets. Yep. Old leather helmets, kind of folded up like a paper in some ways as they got old. But just the old leather helmets. That reminds me of an episode of Bernie Mac's show when he looked all over his desk and his pen when his pen was in his ear. Yeah. Like now it's the commercial, the dude looking for his glasses on top of his head. Tony on Brown is on them drugs heavy. I would say psyoped heavy too. Psyoped heavy too. I would say that as well. Like that hit he took from Buffett, whatever his name was, Buffont. That was a warning for him to get in line. That's why they allowed him to do that. But I heard folks say suffering from mental illness. Yeah, very possible. Very possible. I mean, all that you have to go through, all the agenda you have to go through. I mean, you don't know what he's doing behind them closed doors. I mean, he ain't really getting no commercials or nothing, but he's high profile. He went through that thing in Oakland was nothing but shame. Every time you heard them mention his name when he started camp with Oakland was the contract. Now, this man has been in many different equipment and machines. He knows not to go in that machine without his feet covered. Shit, I was just filling up my damn butane, and that shit's coming out. That shit's freezing. So any kind of that, you gotta cover up. So I just look at him as put some respect on the flare OG. Leather helmets, yeah, old leather helmets. That's how we know they're the same as the Omen, because that's what they had. Here's what got me about the NFL. Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio, but they won't script where the Ohio teams win the championship. Yeah. Hey, Crazy Sarge, good to see you. Yeah, and there were more than the Massillon Tigers was another team. Kenton Bulldogs, where Jim Thorpe played for, the Canton Bulldogs. I mean, there were a whole bunch of teams. And for one reason or another, because at once Cleveland came into the league, because as I've said before, let me see, I'll do the breakdown. Cleveland played in that other league first. Let's see here. It's got to be in here. Where is it here? Baltimore, New York, Yankees. Cleveland Browns, see, they didn't come into 1950. So after World War I think from 45 to 50 or something. They played in the other league. See, that's why they didn't start the NFL till 1950, because they was in another league. But there's so many of these other teams: Cincinnati Red, New York Bulldogs, Portsmouth Spartans. That's where the Lions turned into the Portsmouth Spartans turned into the Lions. Cleveland Rams before they moved to LA. Cowboys didn't start till 60. The Cardinals moved to St. Louis, so they was the original Chicago team. Pittsburgh Pirates, Pittsburgh Steelers. 1 year, check this out. 1 year, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles traded whole teams. They traded franchises. So the Philadelphia franchise moved to Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh franchise moved to Philadelphia. St. Louis Gunners, Detroit Lions started in 1934. Boston Redskins started in Boston. They moved in 1937. Boston Yankees. Baltimore Colts, of course, started as the Dallas Texans. The New York Yanks. 49ers also was in that other league. The Vikings were supposed to go to the AFL, and the Vikings, the NFL came and undercut them. But this tells all the old teams: Cleveland Indians, Maurice Flyers, Akron Stags, Chicago Cards, beginning in 1920, Massillon Tigers, Columbia Tigers, Canton Bulldogs, Rochester Kodaks, league meeting in a car. I think Jim Thorpe's team was the Orsay Indians. I think was Jim Thorpe's team. He tried to have his own team. Could you imagine that if he would have been able to keep the team financed? So, but it's like I'll tell you some bogus shit and how they using that race shit. It's like Willie O'Keefe. There's no way Willie O'Keefe should have made the national. Like, they retired his number. The dude played one game in the National Hockey League. Now, he played 20 years of semi-pro hockey, but he played one game, and they put him in the Hall of Fame, and they just retired his number. One game. So it's that's that race shit. The Omuk Jaguar priests wore those type of leather helmets and masks. Yeah, I was part of it. That's why I say, when you look into creation stories, as I was saying, you look into the South American creation stories, they talk about the ball fields being created when sound and some light created. They put the ball fields as, something created as well. And so to play the game was more than just, fun. It was a spiritual meaning to it. When the Hero Twins played the gods, it was for life and death, because they had fucked up the Hero Twins' father. It's signed to Kanye's clothing line. Yeah, I saw that. Supposedly they bought him a big office and shit. But what does he have in that background? Hey, Jay King, what's happening? Yeah, the Steagles. I couldn't believe. I thought it was a joke. Yeah. When they traded the teams. Yeah. Chiefs. The Chiefs was originally in Dallas. Yeah, they was the Texans. I think the Jets was called Jersey before they became New York. No, the Jets was called the Titans. They was called the New York Titans first. Their first season, I think it was 60. The first season of 60, they was called the New York Titans, and they wore a dark, seemed like it was a dark brown helmet. Stafford was compared to Garnett all week. He spent years with one team and no ring. Soon he left like Garnett and he won. Boston and Minnesota both played Super Bowl. They both won. That's a good point, BB Brown. That's a real good point. And we see this kind of staging and copying of scripts all across sports. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Yep. That's what they started as their inaugural season. Because you figure they signed Joe Namath in 64, so they was only 4 years in. By the time, I mean, they were the Jets by the time they signed Namath. But you can still see the Titan stuff. It's out there. You crazy enough about football. Here we go. To play the ball game is to understand the creation of the universe, galaxies, and planets. Yeah. I mean, when I say how to separate how to separate circles in the Great Serpent, or how to separate cycles in the Great Serpent, is talking about planet hopping. You know, going from one planet to the other, and then, you know, retreating back again. I talked about yesterday. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. That's just bogus propaganda out there. That's bogus propaganda. That's what that is. It doesn't really say that. It doesn't really say that. It says a drug. I think the writing is the reading of it is there's a drug package. And then what it came out in one of the subsections, it was like stems might be in the package with needles. Like they was going to give them, you know. So that's when people got wind of the stems, you know, the shit that little roses used to be with. Some people call them straight shooters and shit. And that's what some people smoke crack out of. You know, because when people with freebase and early crack users, you'd have to have a torch, you know, or you'd even have to have the butane almost. And so that was how you had to do freebase, because freebase and crack ain't the same thing. Freebase was pure. That's what Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye, trying to think who else. That's what they Michael Ray Richardson. That's what they wasn't it, and Whitney too, for that matter. She wasn't addicted to crack. She was addicted to freebase. It's a freebase is more pure of getting cocaine. You've got a rum base cut and instead of the ether base that they use for crack. It's a more expensive process. Yeah. Do you think passing will affect the new Madden games going forward? Yeah, they're going to have to definitely make an emphasis on not just the passing, but the routes too. You know, doing like how the way they have to that little read that Renfro has made famous, where you cut in and then you pivot out, or you pivot back one way or the other. I mean, they're going to have to put that kind of thing in there. Arm angles. We see a lot of different arm angles. I think Patty Mahone is probably one of the best of arm angles. Same with Rogers, though, too. Rogers tends to show all the different arm angles. And Rogers was probably the first that showed people the different arm angles. Because you can't really say, like when you looked at Elway or even looked at Marino, that they had the different arm angles. They were just basically dudes coming from here. Like I knew a couple cats that played with the Broncos, and they hated catching balls because the jugs machine had to be turned up all the way that he threw that hard of a ball. So they was getting beat up by the machine and getting beat up by him because he just threw a really hard ball all the time. So that's what I think about the way Madden is gonna. Can they put those individual routes in there? I don't know if Brown is gonna be blackballed again. I don't know if he's gonna be Kaepernick. I don't know if you caught on my other channel, but I did a breakdown on Kaepernick. I did a breakdown where he was near his own end zone, and just how his reads were horrible. His delivery was horrible and weak. He just didn't have the talent. I mean, again, when we look at what's scripted, remember the long run he did against Green Bay? Remember that long run? Wasn't passing the ball, was it? RG3, same way. He wasn't really passing the ball. It was put him in the right defense so this read option can score. But it wasn't passing the ball. And Kaepernick just didn't have the skills. Long as they went for that read option and they stacked the defenses in a way that he would be famous or popular or successful. But once he was out of that, wasn't as successful. Once he had to set up. And it's like, that's frustrating. Now, I'll tell you, that's frustrating on scripts, because when you need him to perform, he might not perform. And that's why it was hard for them to script for him, because he was just not so inaccurate. Not a strong arm, though. Even if you watch his college games, he just didn't have a strong arm. Yeah, that route is unstoppable at the goal line. It is. It's hard to guard because it almost like guarding a guy dribbling the ball. The guy is changing direction so quick. And Riffro is one that's really put. It's like the game-winning touchdown. The back shoulder is kind of hard to defend too. That's really a hard pass to defend. Diggs, slants. I mean, those are all passes that are, I mean, and that's what they've done. They've taken like a slant, but be able to pivot out the slant. I mean, so that's just the game growing, ways to be open. And the only player in my life that's been truly blackballed was Chris Jackson. Yeah. He can't even be mentioned in NBA. Yeah. He was, I'll tell you, fire as a force, he was one of the greatest forces I had ever watched in college basketball. He was one of the first players that really would come down 7-8 times in a row and score. And I mean, it wasn't like bomb scoring. I mean, just coming down every time and scoring. I think one period he scored 5 straight times. No, I think it was one period he scored 10 times going up and down. And remember, he had Shaq, as Shaq was a freshman, I think. Stanley Roberts, he had decent teams. They even ran like alley-oops for Jackson. I mean, he was truly a very remarkable player in college, very remarkable. And that translated to the NBA because he could shoot. But he gave up. Look at his video where he said, well, this is how you miss on purpose. I don't know if you caught that. Zach used to show that all the time. This is how you miss on purpose. Kurt Floyd, too, and you say your lifetime, you're right. Kurt Floyd was for bringing in free agency, they blackballed Kurt Floyd, too. For bringing in free agency, he was blackballed. They have Carr used to beat the Ravens all the time. On there, that Carr used to beat the Ravens all the time. No, it's nothing entirely new. It's used more. You can only choose one to be super great. It would be geometry, numerology, or astrology. Of those three, I guess astrology would be, to me, those three, because I could also chart years before. Because the stars have been charted for at least damn near. I mean, you can consistently find charts going back about 5,000 years that the ancients kept. So that would probably be the most ancient to me. Cap is capping that kneeling shit was a script. Oh, absolutely. He worked for Donald Trump. And I know people don't want to hear that, but as I said before many times, Donald Trump, when he bought the Generals, the NFL approached him in a way to tear the league down because they didn't want to compete with salaries like they did with the AFL. And so they told Trump to get him to play in the fall to compete head to head, even though they had 2 solid seasons playing in the spring, had a TV contract with, was it ABC? I want to say, was Fox in when? No, I don't think 83 Fox was in yet. But they had a contract. I'm sure it was ABC. So they had a TV contract. There was a game on, all spring. When they played, there was their game on. So it didn't make sense, but that was Trump's thing, is to try to get them ruined, in which he succeeded. Trump only owned the team for 1 year. They denied Trump entry because Trump was going to play in the Meadowlands with where the Jets and the Giants was played. Trump was already, had a lease with them. That's where his New Jersey team played, the Generals. So, of course he did. But yeah, Cap worked for Trump. That was all Trump's doing. That had Trump's thing all into it. Didn't we find out the reason Demaryius Thomas' death? I haven't heard anything else. So I can't say. I definitely can't say. I saw a video of Yan Ming and Shaq and AI were together for their Hall of Fame into the Hall of Fame. They got asked about the toughest person to guard. AI say he's his name and Shaq. They got asked about the toughest person to guard. AI fitting to say his name and Shaq. Okay. Shit, some think Iverson could have played as 2K22. They even owe him a check. Yeah. Like he was forced because Nike dropped him. He was forced to put tape down both sides of his shoes. And that's some shit. You got these boxes of shoes and, they dropped him because he wouldn't stand for the flag. Covered his mouth. Okay. He's on the big 3 too. Throwback on the 2K team. I didn't realize I watched most of the big three games, and I don't remember Kwame Brown playing, but I guess he did. That's right, he did. He did play on that big three. You can pick his card to see him on my team. Yeah, because Iverson was supposed to be player coach, and he wasn't showing up. Jay-Z got in that Kaepernick kneeling bullshit. Yeah, he got a job that led to what we just saw. He got a job that led to that halftime show. So still can't get over the prison garb. They still put that prison garb on them. I like, damn, the Dickie outfits. Like, damn. Yeah, that one got past me. That one got past me. Well, yep. That's why it's just so hard to oh, here we go. With Cup Soccer is this year in November, first World Cup in the Middle East. Okay. Yeah, I saw they made their ass play up here in that minus shit. I don't know if y'all caught that. They played soccer up here in the minus shit, and they wasn't wearing sweats. All of them was still wearing, some of them wearing long sleeve shirts, but they was wearing shorts, and it was something like -6, -7, because we have a stadium over in St. Paul. They were going to build the stadium here, but I don't know. It was going to be like near where Target Field is. Like we have a farmer's market. They were going to build it right in there. And then for some reason they didn't. So they made their ass play outside. So it was some kind of qualifying game. They built a big fancy solution, fancy stadium in the middle of the desert. Remember before they didn't want to have the shit over there before because it was too damn hot. They didn't want to have the shit there because it was too hot. So not surprised. And even soccer, goes back into the infinite ball game. I mean, all of them. You rarely find any kind of ball that the game doesn't derive from. And like time traveling shit to see how it started. It was just some excess rubber, and children started throwing the excess rubber at each other. I mean, it's interesting to just kind of watch that evolve. But that's kind of how it started, as they were making things, because they did make balls. They've got balls this big that they made. They made all different size balls, but that's all it was the latex had some excess, and the children throwing shit at each other. But that's the start of it. And then it appeared like the first game was a type of 2-square. Just, and then like somebody caught it in the basket one time, and then they fashioned baskets to catch. I mean, it's just so many different ways that you see how just people having fun has turned into billion-dollar businesses. And that even goes into the Negro Leagues, and how Jackie Robinson should not be praised. He should be told the truth about that. He is the reason why brothers don't have these $1 million businesses, because them teams competed. They would, as I've said before, I've said this a few times, they would have 2 games, a doubleheader. They would have a Negro League game, and then they'd have the National League game afterwards to bring the fans in, because the Negro Leagues was filling the stadiums up. And that's one reason why a lot of the owners didn't want Jackie to come in, because they liked leasing their stadiums to these Negro Leagues that would fill them up. So that was another objection to him coming in. Do you agree changing the overtime rule? Not really. I think the college rule is silly. I mean, I understand for time, the college rule, but I think that's silly. I really saw nothing wrong with sudden death. I really didn't. So now you both get a chance to get the ball. So I think it's fine the way it is, or go back to the way it really was the old time, just sudden death. But college to me is silly. That's advantage to the offense, giving it to them on the 25. So, and I don't know. So there's many different ways, but yeah, I don't think they need to do anything to it. It's like if that don't go, knows that you hijacked Cap kneeling and fucked around, got a job. Yeah, he did. He sure did. So I think I like the way they are. Do you think the NFL should change the overtime? I don't. I think it's okay the way it is. Both teams get the ball. Jackie was a sellout. Jackie was definitely a sellout. But Jackie was working with him. Yeah, he's working with him. You know, this was a soldier. Jackie was a soldier. Went to UCLA, so you don't think they had been working on him? You know, why did they pick him? He wasn't the best player. I mean, they didn't try to get the best player. You notice that. Satchel Paige was by far the best player. Satchel Paige fucking pitched till he was 59. At 59 years old, Satchel Paige struck out 3 people in a row. He did an inning at 59. Like, you know, they let Gordie Howe play in his 60s. They let him play like a shift. So Gordie Howe played in his teens. He played like almost 60 years of hockey. I mean, it's amazing. I'll say more like 30, 40 years of hockey. But yeah, Gordie Howe played since he was a teenager all the way up to 60. AD got hurt versus Utah. Yeah, I saw that. He will left game. Maybe he'll be out for the season. Tomorrow's on Jordan's 59th birthday. Yeah, I think I caught that. And like Craig's Facts, you know, I sent a comment on them. Sudden death is way better. Yeah, I think so too. It make both people, but it was easier to script in sudden death, you know. But Craig Facts, you know, I don't know if y'all remember this, but this was because Larry's 2 years behind me, so this had to be when we were still fairly young. So I want to say 80s, because Larry probably got out of college 85 or 86 if he graduated. I don't know. I had left. So, and I think Larry was, because Larry had transferred. But Larry played, my point is, Larry played in a league that was considered 6'5" and under. I don't know if y'all remember that league. I think it was called the World League, but it was the 6'5" and under league. And Michael bought a team or backed the team in Chicago that Larry played at. Because Larry, they were saying he was 5'7". Yeah, he probably was like 5'7", 5'8", somewhere in there. But he had like an O.J. Simpson head. Did Nolan Ryan pitch till he was 60? I don't know, unless Nolan Ryan pitched in the farm league or like the what do they call that league? The ambassador-like league, one of those kind of leagues. It's another name. It's not coming up. But I don't think he played in the National League. I don't think he pitched in the National League game at 60, but he might. We might have to look that one up. I don't really know offhand. I was shocked Jay and Nash collabed on a single recently after years of beef. Shit. Nah, the kissing ass was Nas had to sign with Jay-Z. And then Jay-Z sabotaged Nas' last album, that one album. By putting his album out or some shit, he sabotaged the shit out of Nas. So yeah. But like look up Jazzo's, you know, Jay-Z, Jazzo copied his name, and Jazzo put Jay-Z in his first video. Or Jazz put Jay-Z that was in, you know, Jay-Z's first time. You see how ugly he was, teeth all. I mean, he was jacked up. He wasn't a very handsome man, not a young man. And just like that's the thing, he's supposed to be this hustler, but his teeth is all. So that's why you even got to look at some of them stories. That's just some shit they put together. You selling drugs, but you didn't get your teeth fixed. And one thing, if you listen to what Nas say, the way he was dressing, it's like, wait a minute, you supposed to be making this money and you dressing like that? So, a lot of them narratives just sound good for the biography. Nas murdered him with ether. Yeah, ether, he killed him. It was just like, grab your Glocks when you hear Tupac. Same way. Well, Biggie couldn't come back from that. I think I said before, I came from Michigan up here, and it was my birthday. And my boy's like, it's your birthday? They had like they rented a townhouse, but it was like 3 different separate floors of that ain't really, like it was just one big house, but each people that rented had a section of this 3-story house. So it was like people living, sharing the bottom, people sharing the middle level, and then people sharing the top. And shit, we had a bunch of people party. But it was like 3 or 4 times again and back to back. Everybody was jamming to that shit when that shit first came out. I was still a fairly young man back then. I think I was in my 30s, mid 30s. Out of the crew, I was older than everybody. Most of them cats was like 27, 28, 29. I think I was like 32, 33. I was young, older. Jay-Z killed Nas on the Blueprint, though. And I bought all them CDs. I had most of Jay-Z's CDs. Hard Knock Life. I had most of the CDs when we was into buying CDs and shit. Yeah, I had most of that. I enjoyed his music over the years. Not gonna lie about that. So, about an hour in, okay. It's just funny how, you know, the rap battle started from the very beginning. You're the Furious. How's it go? We're the Furious Five. You're the Sugar Hill Gang. You know, that was the first battle record right there. Showdown, do 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 do. Showdown. That was the first battle record. Like, I don't know, you know, that's like where I live. They played King Tim the Third, you know, because King Tim the Third, the year before 80, I remember money. Oh, money, got to get my hands on some. That was a Fatback Band. Money, it'll get you all the things you want to buy. Before they came out with King Tim the Third, they came out with that one, or maybe it was after King Tim the Third, and then that one. Now Nas destroyed Jay-Z, and his last good album was the Black Album. DMX is the best rapper. Look, Father MC is the best rapper of all time. So stop it. Put some respect on Father MCs. Father MC discovered Young Jodeci. Young Jodeci. Let your music bend your heart tonight. Whatever that was. Yeah. American Gangster album. But y'all better put some respect on Father MC. Y'all messing around. Don't give Father MC the respect he deserves. I couldn't say who the best rapper is all time. I mean, that is so open. It's a preference. It's a preference in style. It's a preference in phrasing. Like how Biggie kind of changed it with the you know, the breaks. So it's a lot of different lot of different people you could consider. He was in the Hawaiian Sophie by J-Zo. That's why Tupac called him Hawaiian Sophie fame. Yeah. He wearing that ugly shirt. I mean, he ain't dressed like no dude. Like if you guys ever caught this, you know, Ice-T is in the Joe-Ski Love, or you know, a brand new dance called the Pee Wee Herman by Joe-Ski Love. Do y'all remember seeing Ice-T dancing and shit? I think Darlene's in it too. But you know, you got Ice-T doing some shit like that, you know, wax on, wax off shit, you know. Jay-Z is the best rapper of all time. Okay. I mean, I like this style. I mean, what he's turned into today is a little different and very dark, but the Rise, can't say I didn't like the music of the Rise. I don't really play anything of his now, but there's stuff I did like. But what he's turned into and how he got there doesn't surprise me. We see that kind of thing all the time. I think it's just subjective, you know, who you say it's a personal style, personal preference. Because I say this, it's like I never really cared for Tupac because he had a really weak voice. And if you heard his records, he had a lot of dubbing of Tupac. You know, you heard 3 or 4 Tupac singing layered over each other. And my prime example is when him and Biggie rap together. When Biggie says something about them bitches in 357, that live, and then you even hear Tupac use one of Biggie's lines afterwards. So you can't stop my riches, even if you had MC Hammer in the 357 bitches. Yeah, that one where Tupac goes, you can hear the lack of strength in the words of Tupac. He really needed to be on recording. He didn't sound as bad as 50 Cent did last Sunday, but you could hear where Biggie live sounded the same. Tupac really didn't. But rap in general live is horrible. Rap is horrible live. Unless you got a good mixer, it is horrible. Most of the time they singing with the song. So just like Nas said in Ether, North, South, East, and West ain't no best. Yeah. Joski Love is my Facebook friend. That is so funny. A brand new dance called the Pee Wee Herman. But yeah, look that shit up. You'll see Ice-T in that motherfucker. And that's before Ice-T was Ice-T. He didn't look like no pimp in that song. I can't say I got a top 3. I don't even remember enough of them. Tupac is overrated. Yeah, I was never a big Tupac fan. The song I liked of his was Just Like Daddy, Come to Me When the Time is Right. Dedicated slow jams on the radio. Just Like Daddy. That was one of my favorite Tupac songs. The Joski Pee Wee Herman song was sampled for Tupac's Ambitions of a Ride beat. Okay, thank you, Danny. Everybody wants to follow Pac's lead. Who's your top 5 rappers? I don't even know 5 rappers. I couldn't even tell you 5 rappers. That's one of Pac's best. It was another slow one he did that I liked, and I can't think of it. But Just Like Daddy was one of my favorite songs by him. I want to say that song, Things Keep on Passing Me By. There's very few Jimi Hendrix samples. Digital Underground samples Jimi Hendrix. But in that Things Keep On, I believe in the beginning you hear fuzz, and that's Jimi Hendrix fuzz tone. Let me think of what Digital Underground song. You hear one of Jimi Hendrix riffs, and one of the few people that used it and got in before now. It's probably quite expensive to use Jimi Hendrix. Busta Rhymes, pretty solid. When I think of Busta Rhymes, I think of that movie where they tried to make him a killer. Yeah, The Far Side. I believe that fuzz tone in the beginning of that song is Jimi Hendrix fuzz tone. So I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. The Far Side was She Keeps Passing Me By. Yeah, I think in the very beginning of the song, I think that fuzz tone is Jimi Hendrix. Like every day, my radio, I'll be in this. Like I'll go pick up my daughter and I'll be, feeling pretty geeked and shit. They play that Boosie shit that wipe me down. I'm in the car because I'm on. Because I only know one dance. Because I'm on. What Digital Underground are you talking about? Man, I'd have to go listen to that song on Do What You Like. That album. No. On that album, it's a Jimi Hendrix riff where I'm trying to think which one it is. It's one of it where all the music is new, but I'd have to re-listen to it and listen to that riff. But yeah, I get it. 7 Mac 11s, 9 10 10s. Shit never ends. You can't count my riches if you've had MC Hammer and them 357 bitches. Yeah, yep. They sampled Jimmy from They Don't Know. Okay, they sampled Jimmy from They Don't Know. Okay, do 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 do. Yeah. Yes, do 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 do. Yeah, him and Buddy Miles. Yeah, and of course Billy Cox. But yeah, do 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 do. Yeah, good ear, Jay. Thank you for that. Yep, they sampled Jimmy from that. Yep, sure did, and got the permission. You got to look at Jimi Hendrix. That chick may have not been related to him, but she shut all that shit down because it was a bunch of bootleg. Like my friend I talk about lives in North Carolina. He had a bunch of bootleg stuff, and I had all legitimate and 4 or 5 bootleg. She went like even King Curtis. She went at all them motherfuckers and like laid the hammer. She bought all that shit. So you're not even getting any bootleg Jimi Hendrix because she bought the bootleg Jimi Hendrix, which you got to applaud her. But she shouldn't have cut off the family. That was kind of cold of her. What do you think about parallel universe dimensions? Would they be talking more about the mirror world. I'll give you an example of what a parallel universe would be, and how a person who's caught in that flux of knowing the other one or feeling the other one. It was like Dr. Phil or Oprah had some dude on, and some dude was convinced he was a rock star. So he was having some of that dimensional bleed because he saw, I was just like, I've seen motherfuckers be bullshitting and just crazy, but he saw it. He saw, huh? How much? You owe me 25 big ones. And so he saw that. And so he was having probably some of that dimensional bleed. I wonder if I suffered a little bit from that too. Because even like something like this, and just to show you how inches, like you look at my picture here, I'm basically kind of out of bounds. And at home, they could have gave this to me. But the point is, a few inches the other way, I have a touchdown. So do you see how just inches can play a part in your future? How just inches can play a part in your future. So Fringe kind of showed how the parallel universes was kind of having dimensional blend, if you ever got into the Fringe. And then the dude on Cinemax, or one of them, had the same thing. They had the same kind of show where the dimensions was kind of blended. So the way, if you look at the way the Maya is set up, it physically has to play every possibility. So it physically has to make every possibility live. So therefore, that would go into multi-dimensions, because if it has to see all these different plays and know what to expect, it would have to put them in real time. So it'd have to put this out to the different dimensions. So, or like they say, it's like we are nothing but bubbles of continuous bubbles. So, and I think that's where even Dark City comes in a little bit. I mean, Dark City comes in, I mentioned this before, it's like if you win the lottery, you almost have no memory of what it felt like before you won it. I mean, within a short amount of time, you couldn't imagine that you had lived in a small apartment. It would be that, I mean, it would change just even your whole perception of things. It would be like you never even struggled before you won that money. So I think that there probably is. I heard Zach talking shit about saying simulation. See, simulation fucks up that numerology shit because it takes it away. And see, this is one thing you got to understand about Zach and them. They need these stories. Say they cut off the stories, what they gonna report? What they gonna compare these numbers to? Where spiritual people still can pull shit out the air even without the stories and out the propaganda. So now one thing I'll say Zach did is, because I got on him for trying to use 100 different ciphers to make this shit work. And he's kind of got down to 4. Oh, that ABL goofy motherfucking simp. I talked shit about him not having an undershirt on. He had an undershirt on today. It was wrinkled up under his. Like, this motherfucker must go. He must buy the cheapest polo shirts he can get. It's like every time he wears a polo, it is the cheapest looking shit. I mean, you can buy polos that look good, and I just don't know where he buys that shit. It's like, man, come on, get your pimping in there. Kodak got shot in Hollywood. Yeah, I heard that. Now, the mirror world, let me answer the full question. The mirror world, again, is run by the Mai. The Mai has set up that thing. But see, this is what happens is men create gods and then worship them. The same way with flat plane. these people have created a flat plane. So the system, the way the system would work, the system will give them that. The system will create the flat plane because they've created it. And so the system will make them see this and back it up in some ways. But again, they don't get into the type of mirror, the true meaning of what the flat plane would be the mere illusionary world. And the flat plane people don't get that. They're so, well, we've got to make that round ball. We've got to make it into something. It ain't really round. I mean, we live on a living being. Yep, that's it. Billy Cox on bass. Yeah, Billy Cox on bass. Buddy Miles. I mean, that live, that live performance in New York is nice. No, they're playing out in San Francisco. They did 2 shows. But like when Jimi Hendrix, when he was part of the band of Gypsies, they poisoned Jimi Hendrix at Madison Square Garden. He was about to do Madison Square Garden with them. And the record labels didn't dig that, so they gave him some fucked up acid. And he played one song and he sat on the floor, couldn't perform. Because Jimmy was the kind of cat that would just take, like, he wouldn't just take 1 hit of acid, he would take 2 or 3. And he was definitely murdered. I mean, hell, both your lungs ain't filled up with wine and you throw it up. Exactly. Yep. If we don't believe Tupac got shot 5 times, we sure shouldn't believe 50 Cent got shot 9 times. Yeah. That's that CB40 shit, with 50 Cent. They created a guy. Falling out on stage. Yeah, that was kind of funny. With her glass cheetah pattern to show that she's one of them girls. I caught that shit. I'm like, yeah, you ain't getting away with that shit. That shit is still cheetah pattern, girl. And we see when the females pay their dues for that shit. We see that. And when they have to show they in the club, like Lisa Salter's ass. Lisa Salter's got to be in her 40s, mid 40s. I'm guessing she wearing that shit. I could see younger women, but she's too old to wear that shit. But again, she had to show them. She had to show them. And I never understood, like, she was a White House correspondent. And then she went to their ESPN instead of being, I don't know. Seemed like the other job would have paid more, but maybe it's her passion in sports. Falling out on the stage. Yeah, that was funny. That's right. Every moment counts. Remember you talking about the kid with time powers on Umbrella Academy, talking about minutes and seconds are the most important aspect of changes. Yeah, it wasn't like you have to do these astronomical moves. You really don't. Like one of mine, I'll say if I got any superpowers, it's time. And the shit always bails me out. Shit, it was fucking another car that went by me. and it was like, I could tell when I have a little extra couple more seconds given to me. Because there's times where I should have ran into cars and I had a replay because I felt it. I was like, whoa, but I should have, because I started looking at this old car and I should have ran into the back of this car. Instead, I had a replay and I was like, right where I looked at that car, that's where I started again. This time I paid attention to my ass. But I was like, what the fuck just happened? It was like I was meditating. This is how energy hits you. I was meditating, and usually I have my harmonizers in both hands, and I have them like, you sitting on the recliner, got your hands on the arms, and something just, the energy just pushed my left hand. So whatever came through, the sugar and the shower right, I mean, the energy just pushed my hand up. I was like, oh, okay. So it was pretty strong, and I'm pretty sure it's some kind of energy came through. Yeah, I noticed it too. Pissed him off. CB4 basically showed what was going on. Yeah, absolutely. Like even they made, the ones that tried to be, and they made fun of the conscious people, by saying black, I'm black, they tried to make fun of that. Yep, she's been a sex kitten for the industry. I mean, yeah, that's what they showing. That they didn't went in them rooms or they let somebody abuse them. As Corey Holcomb would say, they let somebody, Jody be showing, you know, how the stuff they have to go through when they go over there, and Sly talks a little bit about it. But like, I'll tell you a really weird story. When the girls was working for me, we had one dude, and I probably told this before, but we had one guy that would call in. This guy was bedridden. He was probably 500-600 pounds, and the dude wanted people to walk on his stomach with pumps. The girls loved doing that shit. But that's what they would do. They would just walk on his that big ass. And they just complained it was nasty in his house and it stank, but he paid well. But that's what he wanted. He wanted motherfuckers just to walk on his stomach. He was calling like every other day. And that's the gratification he got. I don't know what gratification. The girls loved this shit. It's just like he was nasty to look at. They said he looked like Jabba the Hutt. It's like if you could imagine Jabba the Hutt being able to lay on his back. That's how they described this motherfucker. But they said the shit, you know, motherfucker couldn't piss. He was pissing in the bag and all that kind of shit. Oh yeah. But the girls loved it, you know, because it was easy money. It was like, yeah, I can't wait to, yeah, you like that shit. And they'd be digging the shit in him and he'd liking the shit. Some weird motherfuckers in the world. Weird motherfuckers. But that's what they used to call him. He's like, I'm like, who wants Jabba the Hutt? And it was easy money for him, other than it smelled. It's like, oh, I smell him in my hair. But yeah, it's some weirdo motherfuckers. I mean, it really is. You just, yeah. You never know. You never know. Like Malcolm X, you know, Malcolm X talked about tricking. Talking about he would just give a dude a bath and then pour baby powder on him. What do you think he's telling you? This motherfucker's telling you he's tricking and shit. I don't think people get that about Malcolm X, that he was telling you he was tricking. I mean, look that up. Look it up. I would just give him a bath and pour baby powder on him. That is tricky. And it's right in his own words. Fluffy, fruity. It's all kind of funny shit that the girls would talk about. Like one girl would complain, like one trick, he wouldn't quit talking, so he couldn't come because he wouldn't quit talking while they was giving him head. Like, man, shut up so you can come. I ain't gonna be here with you all day. It's just the funniest shit. The funniest story you hear about people. It was like this same motherfucker had to drop one of the girls off one time. And the girl was like, yeah, something happened. And he ended up dropping her off. He was fine. He wasn't crazy or nothing. But, well, this might show he was a little crazy. The dude drove her home naked. She said he walked out the house, got in his truck. She got in, and he drove her back to me fucking naked. Weirdos. What do you think about modern women? You know, guess that gets into a little judgmental. Give you an example. My oldest daughter, who I didn't raise, you know, or she probably just learned in the last 5 years. She had probably heard over the years, but the last 5 years she's learned that I'm her father. But I look at her like her mother always wore heavy makeup. You know, her mother had bad acne, had all them spots, and so she wore heavy makeup. So I'm not, and she wore weaves and shit, not to the extent we see today, but her mom every now and then will wear weaves. But now I see my daughter the same way. And as I talked about, she showed a video of her being at the strip club. You know, her man is like throwing money at some bitch, and then she's got a bitch on her lap, and you know, she's slapping her ass cheek while the bitch rubs her titties in her face. Now, maybe some people that's looked at as you know, a spice in the relationship. But to me, I see that ain't built on a solid foundation. That ain't really built on solid. I mean, it's just like if you watch the movie JoJo Dance and Richard Pryor, you know, they go to this Hollywood party, his girl want to leave, Rich want to stay there and just fuck around. And then his girl get turned out. And it's like really Rich's fault. But my point is, it's like when you fuck around like that, it's easy to lean one side or the other. Now, that's the thing they like, but that's just my example of looking at women under 40. Now, my friend Wendy, she's solid. Wendy, 28, 29, 30. She's pretty solid, but the makeup and stuff is all the same, but she's pretty solid. So she doesn't really have a lot of these weirdo issues we see today. But I mean, keep in mind too, we seeing, you know, a generation of crack, some kind of affected by crack generation, where the parents wasn't there, foster care, however it went. We kind of seeing that generation that's got to put it together their own selves. And wasn't no family traditions, because that's one thing crack killed is families just didn't get together anymore because families didn't trust each other. That's one thing they just like, we don't trust them. They all on that shit, so we don't want to be around them, you know. I heard overseas women treat these men like kings. Wow. So like that manosphere shit Sly talk about, if it wouldn't be for Sly, I wouldn't know about that shit. Bashing sisters. I mean, what people don't realize is as you bash sisters, you look at the number one people getting killed as sisters. Hey, what's up, Conspiracy University? What do you think of Crip Mac? OG Mac? I mean, I broke his story down before about OG Mac, if that's who you mean. The one that worked for the CIA, took the gang shit to New York prisons. They let them run the prison wild, stabbing people, phone checks and all that shit. And then they put the gangs on the street, West Coast gangs at that. The only really New York gang was the Latin Kings. So if that's what you're talking about. Okay, I don't know who Crip Mac is then. But yeah, y'all, you know, she should subscribe to kind of Conspiracy. He said no notification again. Yeah, I don't know who this dude is then. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. But yeah, Conspiracy University puts out some good stuff. He puts out some real good stuff. So you want to work on your knowing, he can help in that, on how to look at this thing. So I know sisters, you know, I know sisters and ain't got their shit together. You know, I'm glad that I don't have to deal with any women's in their 20s. Seem like sisters is confused. I just don't know with this new way they make themselves up. I don't see how they think that's attractive. I mean, the eyelashes they wear, that's the copy from the 60s. That ain't nothing new. Matter of fact, I was dating a girl wearing that shit in 9 and 10. The funniest thing was seeing the boy's mother wearing that shit. She looked funny as fuck. But how do you mean sisters are getting killed? Yeah. Look at the amount of sisters getting killed now. There's a silent war against black women, that they killing black women. And it ain't spoken of. Now, as much as I don't like that AK Nation dude, he'll tell about these different crimes, but I do my own research, and it's young girls, young women are getting killed at an alarming rate last few years. It's almost like they're going after them. Too many games. All right. You think Kwame Brown is control? All you talk about is black men. Yeah, he's definitely controlled opposition. Definitely. He ain't got nothing new. Yeah, they unfortunately hot on the Oregon Trail. Yeah. I mean, that ain't never went away. They've always wanted that. Our blood, all that stuff. Our blood, our organs. Check out the Keno Jenkins story. Okay. The Keno Jenkins story. Okay. But yeah, Kwame ain't talking about nothing. Whoops. Kwame ain't talking about fixed games. He ain't talking about none of that. Karma's a lady that always gets what she wants. Connecticut. Okay. So they really should be protected, and they really not being. And then, you know, with the them against us thing, them pushing the professional women, you know, the song "You Gotta Have a Job to Be With Me" was the start of that shit. You know, instead of just both trying to work to get it. it's like they're fighting each other now. And then you got these professional women that's like coming out of the welfare thing. That's like you if you can get your education, you don't need a man. Get you another woman up in there. I mean, this was a psyop done. This was intentionally pushed. This was intentionally given attention. And so now we got black folks, you know, got colored folks don't want to trust each other or even have relationships. And with this back and forth on YouTube kind of stuff, I think Sly is slightly right. You do have a lot of frustrated brothers that, you know, in their 20s couldn't mac on chicks. You know, they really, and so now they use this and got a little cheese. This is the first time in their life they really exposed to chicks like that, because you had simps, you know, and simps got little money. So like Slideshow, these mugs have to go other places to get women. But the family structure, you got a lot of women that don't see the family structure anymore either. You got to look at that. They don't understand the family structure because they grew up without real family. I mean, of course, you're a young girl, your dad leave, and then you see your mom, you know, bringing motherfuckers in and out. What is your opinion going to be of men? And what is your opinion going to even be of women? And how are you supposed to look at yourself? You think that's what you're supposed to do at some point. You know, have babies. And I mean, this is how fucked up some women look at it. Have babies by cute guys, handsome guys, so they have attractive children. And then try to get some simp that, you know, they can just do take care of them and take care of her children. And there's a lot of men out there. I mean, I had an outstanding stepfather. What do you think about semen retention? I don't. I release mine every chance I get. Maybe for young people, dude my age, no. No. My wife calls me a troll. As soon as my wife calls me a troll, comes in here. Yes, that's some Russian bot. Did you see the article about the new way to have children would be grown through a machine? Yeah, well, that's that Matrix shit. That's that Matrix shit. Hey, Johnny, what's happening? What do you like better, Temptations or Spinners? Temptations. Because we talking about two different eras too. You know, we talking about two different eras. But yeah, I would say Temptations. I like Felipe Win though. I really do. But they let the other guy more of the hits like Sadie. I didn't really like Sadie, but oh man, I was da, 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 da. It's a shame the way you mess around with you, man. That's Felipe Win, and that's Spinners. But the other guy on the Spinners had most of their hits that you would know. But I like Felipe Win. On Knee Deep, make you want to do it one more time. This music, it grooves me. Felipe Win. I saw Felipe Win with the Funk Mob too. I saw him with them. So yeah, I like the Temptations a little better. But again, different periods. Gotta let that shell out. There you go. Well, you know what Chong said, get it up, just can't get it in. Wisdom, the mastery of one's sexual energy, sexual force. I mean, for young men, maybe, yeah, I can see that point. One woman was even comparing it to like the way it affects your blood. You know, I'm trying to remember the way she put it. I ain't holding back no skeets. That's what she say. That's what we say. Prince or Michael Jackson. I think they in two different categories. You're talking about a musician compared to just the artist entertainer. So they're kind of in two different categories to me. Cats the same age. Of course, Michael Jackson had success sooner, you know, and they was both affected by rap. Rap killed both of their genders, you know, their music, really. Because people forget Michael Jackson, that Break of Dawn. Break of Dawn is one of my favorite songs. And Butterflies, you talk about a full production person. But Prince was probably the greatest. I don't know if I could say that Prince was better than the Scorpions because they play a little different, but I saw the Scorpions live. Hard to put any guitarists above them Germans. But so that's a group compared to one person. But And I don't really like a lot of Prince stuff either. I'll say that. I don't really like a lot of his work. I did not like the song Purple Rain that he got the Academy Award. I thought that was one of the weakest songs on there. I thought Jungle Love was probably the best song on the whole movie, was Jungle Love. I thought Morris Day had the best character. I really did. And I've said this before. Morris Day should have played Under the Purple Moon or whatever it was called. That should have, because what you got is a movie of Prince imitating Morris Day, even though they all kind of acted alike. But it would have been a better movie in color and Morris Day, because Prince is trying too hard to be Morris Day. So, hey, Mike Tyson did it for 7 years. Yeah, wasn't he in jail for 7 years? Darling Nikki, the track. See, I never, my ex liked that, but I never even liked that song. I thought it was, I don't know. Raspberry Beret was okay. What was the song? Dun, 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 dun. Doves Cry. I didn't mind that because we always tried to copy the dance in the video. That was an interesting dance they did. My brother-in-law, he was a teenager, and we was trying to pick that up because it was a nice little step that Prince did at the end of the video. It's a decent little step. Just like, I don't know if, this is a generational thing, but in the video, Say, Michael Jackson does a dance. Like, he's kind of behind Paul McCartney, and he does a dance. And then we started doing that. And there was a song that said, I went to the party for a different kind of action. The next thing I know, I started doing the Michael Jackson. And that was a type of dance we used to do. But he does the dance in the Say video with Paul McCartney. And that was a dance we did. So Four Tops, I really like the Four Tops, other than Ain't No Woman Like the One I Got. Oh no, they don't come back to make her happy. Don't take a lot. She don't ask for things, no diamond rings. I like that Four Tops. And I knew one of the Four Tops. His son went to Western, so I got to know him a little bit. My best boxer of all time. Best boxer of all time. I know Sly doesn't like Ali, but skill-wise, unmatched. Ali, skill-wise, was unmatched. I mean, even if you compare him as just being a bigger Sugar Ray Robertson, unmatched. The way to back away out of punches, the way he could circle, because Ali was a very much tradition. You see him doing a lot of traditional things, but reflexes, skill set, unmatched. The reason why they set him out for 3 years was because to let everybody else catch up. You see, after 3 years of not being able to fight, they caught up because he was getting hit. But before, he wasn't really getting hit. Now, granted, both fights with Liston was fixed, but he beat the shit out of Liston in that first fight. Liston's shit was knotted. He had a cut under his eye. I mean, it reminded me a lot of Tyson, Buster Douglas. This motherfucker has to fight. And not to say it wasn't scripted, but it was like he wasn't supposed to get hit like he was getting hit. And not only was he getting hit, he was getting his ass kicked. I mean, Ali was hitting him punches and like the angle of the punches too, you've got to consider. Now, Floyd, I would say probably the best defensive fighter ever. Probably the best defensive fighter ever. I would say that. Skill set, he was a little dude, but fought little dudes. But skill set, can't say he had better skill set than Ali. Like, the thing I didn't like about Tyson is he made a million mistakes. He literally made a million. He always put himself off balance. Always. And it was like, why didn't guys? But, I've broken down how his fights is fixed. If you remember the one fight where the guy kind of flops in the ring and falls down, replay that fight right before the knockout. And you see him practice that jump step because they're doing it and he practices the jump step back. But he just turns to go on the other side. Tyson does the swing, dude falls into the rope. So a lot of them early Tyson knockouts wasn't real. They were scripted. Now, he broke Jesse Ferguson's nose. I'll say that. He hit Jesse Ferguson and drove his shit up into his brain. That was real. But some of them other early fights, you look at them knockouts. Like when they ever show ESPN Tyson's early knockouts, watch that shit closely, and you'll see a lot of them. Them dudes just fall. It's like, you know, like watching that shit with Michael B. Jordan. It's like watching that shit. Yeah, and that's one I didn't say. Joe Louis. I like Joe Louis. Joe Louis could throw short, hard punches. Very few dudes, but he was mummy-ish. He was mummy-ish, but for his day, what, 5'8", 5'9", lot of skill, lot of skill. Sad that he had to fight so old. Now, I love Joe Frazier. I would say he is probably my favorite. He was a true warrior in the sense of what a warrior is. Like a lot of y'all lives, y'all don't even know what a warrior is. Joe Frazier was a warrior. And granted that the fights are fixed, Joe Frazier was willing to die and almost did die with that first fight with Ali. He almost died that night. He took such a beating. They couldn't get the swelling down. His kidneys had stopped functioning. Joe Frazier literally almost died before that first fight. He was in the hospital 4 or 5 months or 4 or 5 weeks. Ali just went in and got checked to see that his jaw wasn't broken. But Ali took a lot of damage. Both of them took a lot of damage. But Joe Frazier, for being, what, 5'8", he had dynamite in his hand. Dynamite in his hand. That's why, you know, like that first fight when he fought Foreman, that fight was fixed. It was no way Joe should have lost to a fighter like that. No way. But I love Joe Frazier. I'm friends with his daughter on Facebook. I'm so glad to see that he got a statue. Modern Air by Des Dickerson. Okay. Mine was Holyfield. Even though he headbutted, but I love his heart and his warrior spirit. Yeah, I would say now, Tyson didn't fight everybody because he went to prison, but you can't say Holyfield didn't fight everybody. He fought everybody. And you got to give it to him. He's still trying to fucking fight now. But you got to give it to Holyfield. He fought fucking everybody. Everybody that was because I've said this before. I watched that Braxton fight. I didn't think he beat Braxton. I really didn't. I was listening to music, so I had the sound turned off. And I remember at the end of the fight, I was like, oh, Braxton got this easy. And they gave it to Holyfield. I'm like, what fight was they watching? I thought he beat I thought Braxton beat him. I really did for the light heavyweight title. I thought Braxton had beat him. Oh, Modern Air was the best song in Purple Rain. No, it's Jungle Love. It was Jungle Love. Doom, doom, doo, doo. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. The Time. It's a racist ass song. But okay, yeah, I mean it's personal preference too. Personal preference. The fight that was on Wild With the Sports, I remember that fall. Yeah. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Frazier should have beat him easy. Hector Camacho, wasn't really impressed with him. Wasn't impressed with him. Again, fought too long. Got hit. Took chances and would get hit. I can't really say I was really impressed with him. Just like Boom Boom. You know, Boom Boom killed a dude. But how impressed really was you with Boom Boom, you know, Mancini? One of them knockouts, Tyson just swung and didn't even connect, and the boxer just took a dive. Yeah, watch them early fights. I mean, watch them with a good eye and rewind that shit. You'll see. So Tyson ear. Well, like one thing, that's a hard call, but one thing that you had to look at, the first fight, he headbutted and should have been disqualified. Holyfield headbutted so much, they took a point away from him. I think they took 2 points away from Holyfield for headbutting. He did the same thing in the next fight. And so they was letting that headbutting, so whatever he did, so could be, but it was like, yeah, them fights was fixed for Holyfield. Now, Joe Frazier, like you remember the last Mike Tyson fight where they had Ali? They had Ali and Tyson at 98, 99. They had Joe Frazier up there too. They had Joe Frazier and Pacquiao. Those was the highest ranked fighters. But Joe Frazier just Like Joe Frazier, what was, insulting was the beating the beef was they got from Joe Frazier. Beating the beef they got exclusively from Joe Frazier. And then you give this no real fighter a statue instead of giving the real heavyweight champion a statue. It made no sense. Jungle Love and the Bird and the Bird got people hyped. Yeah. Now I didn't really like the Bird. I mean, it was interesting. Oak Tree put me through the test. Oak Tree, when I dance, I'm the best. Or give it up, give it up. I want you all night. Yeah, the time early stuff. The Bird though. It's reminding me of early discovered Jodeci. Puff took credit for Fathers and Sea creation. Jodeci, my favorite R&B crew. Shit. I want you to stay. I remember me and my boy Peanut, when I talk about the Nutties, Peanut, we would ride to Detroit to go do business. And we would be in the car singing, stay for a little while. I want you to stay. Oh, we would sing that shit all the way. We'd play that Jodeci tape. We would sing that shit. Almost every song on that first album was nice. The sun is going down. That early Jodeci, but really the melodies of Father MC and Jodeci together. Let the music be your something tonight. I liked Father MC though. I'd be talking shit. I like Father MC. Yeah, Jungle Love is very racist. You got monkeys howling in the very beginning. Come on, that's some racist ass shit. That's that back to Africa shit. But that shit is racist, very racist. Jungle Love is very racist. So, well, for the ones that want to listen to the sounds, I'm gonna do my sounds now. And so, if you want the vibration, here it is. If not, that's understandable. Blow out a little smoke, clear out energies. I think these are all gonna all be C's, different level of C's. But for those of you that want to get into it, here we're gonna go. This is for the full moon. This is gonna be 2040 C. There we go. So see how deep this can get into you. This is tone 1024 C. Vibrate against the ring. And this is the perfect fifth, the 256. That one ain't coming across. I don't think these autos is going to come across too good. They dampen. The 512C. Whoa, we got more to give. This is 480, the B. This is A, 4266A. The tuning forks. See if this can seep into you and cure whatever ails you. This is G, tone 384. This is F. I'm just gonna run all this shit here away. Wow. Thank you. This is E. This is D. What you have to understand is in this reality, sound comes before light. All right. You know, y'all, as the spirit, y'all spiritual guru, I got to do spiritual shit. And so for those that needed that, my dad took me to a Hammer tour concert, and Jodeci was on the bill. I went to see Hammer twice, and I've told this story before. He was in Kalamazoo, and first time I went to see him, Hammer killed it. I mean, we was singing and screaming. You know, it was like he just killed it. The second time around, he sung his hits, and then he went to that church stuff. We got to pray. I had never been in a concert and watched a performer lose the crowd like that. I mean, he literally had people from screaming, jumping up and down, and he got into that church stuff, and everybody sat down. People started leaving. It was like I had never witnessed that before, where a person that had the crowd in the palm of their hands released it to push their agenda. Released it to push his agenda, because you know he was a preacher at one time. My sister-in-law took my brother to see her favorite singer on her birthday. Keisha Cole was on the bill. Okay, R. Kelly and Keisha Cole. I don't care what nobody say. You ain't gonna never take Honey Love off my list. Give me that Honey Love. Because at one time, him and Aaron Hall was going head up. But when R. Kelly released Honey Love, it was no longer a competition. Honey Love killed it. Because the one, you know, they sound a lot alike, but when he put out Honey Love, well, you're welcome, Mr. Lamborghini. I'm glad some people appreciate it. 90 concerts, man. I've been going to concerts since the 70s. I think the first group I saw, I was trying to think, I think it was the Shy Lights. Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her? And it was like, because it was at the college at Western Michigan University, and these mugs came out the crowd. They brought girls on stage and was busting slobs with the chick. That's an old 70s word, probably 60s. But they was tonguing chicks, just the chicks would walk on stage. And, you know, again, this is college, mostly people coming on stage, but they was slobbing these chicks down. I was like, damn. And then I saw Chaka Khan get her, she had this big giant wig, like, I mean, I'm not exaggerating. That shit was, try to be in a frame. That shit came off her like this. And her and the bass player got too close, and his strings got too close, and he whipped that wig off. She didn't come back out to perform. We was waiting for her to sing, "Tell Me Something Good." But her first album with Rufus, "Let's Go Away, Let's Go to Hollywood, On My Way to Hollywood." Yeah, that shocker shit. "You're not mine, I can't deny you. Don't you hear me talking, baby? Love me now or I'll go crazy. Whoa, whoa, sweet thing. Don't you know you're my air?" That shit. Ooh, that's pimping music. That's macking music there. Sweet thing. Woo, we social with that shit. Oh, taking them steps. Oh my goodness. Yeah, them was the days. You know, that again, that high vibration music. We don't get that no more. Like you know, how high, other than getting hyped. Cause I'm on, cause I'm on, cause I'm on, cause I'm on, cause I'm on. Wipe me down, cause I'm you get carried away. You think R. Kelly is guilty or being shamed like Cosby? Being shamed. He being shamed. How the fuck you gonna get him for running the whole business? He was running a I like young girls business, and parents was giving their children up. All that shit, parents was giving children up. Sly talks about it. If you know anything about the music business, Jody touches on it. These people will give their children up for fame. I mean, really study deeply about Disney. That shit is so sickening. And you look at how fucked up Disney children end up. Ain't nothing nice about putting your children in that. And that started back in the 50s with the Mickey Mouse Club. Look up Annette Funicello. They end up making her a movie star. But she started in the Mouse Club, and them stories about what they was doing to them was back then in the 50s. Because I watched the reruns when I was little. Sweet Thing is the best female love song to me. Now, my best ever female love song is Angel by Anita Baker. Anita Baker say, "Only you can make it real. Only you can make it right. You are my angel." That's probably my favorite song, Angel. But Sweet Thing is in there too. But my favorite female song all time is Anita Baker. And I you know, she a little bitty lady, and oh my goodness. Because if I get in there late, she would talk shit to me. "What you walking in here late for? I know you, and you coming in here late, interrupting my show." Yeah, I only made that mistake once because she would talk shit. So I'd make sure to be there. I'm like, okay, I'm here, sing my favorite song. Do you feel as though society is, I don't know that word, duvulu? Oh, devolving. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, we are told time is going up. And as I showed you before, and I talk about, there's stellies in Mexico that show that if you look at the token kind of time, the time I keep, the time went into the millions. And so if you understand that time, the year started at 1,000,000 and we at 2000 and something, absolutely devolving. So the tech and everything. I mean, ain't none of this stuff new. Ain't none of this stuff new. Fats Domino, Blueberry Hill. That was those Boosie's greatest hit, Wipe Me Down. Yeah, yeah. They play that shit every day, though. They used to play I Got Five on it, but lately they've been playing that. I'm feeling kind of good when I get in the car. And I'm like, that's the only dance I know. So that's the only one I'm going to show you. I just know that and I know how to two-step. I can boogaloo, though. I can do the jerk. I can mash potato. I can bump. I can lock a little bit. Pop what you got. What do you say? It's time for the percolator. It's time for the percolator. Time for the percolator. Do I think Trump can win again? Yeah. They don't want him to win again, but yeah, he probably can. Who they gonna run against him? It's no way that it was like when Jimmy Carter ran against Reagan. You could have put fucking Captain Kangaroo in that motherfucker, and Captain Kangaroo would have beat Jimmy Carter. And Reagan and them did the same shit that was done to Nixon, was done to LBJ. The peace talks with Vietnam. Nixon was like, don't do any peace talks till after I get in. And that shit is treason. And LBJ was like, that shit is treason. Well, Reagan did the same thing where he told them, don't release the hostages until after I get elected. Same thing. That's treason. And nobody did anything about it. So, yeah, Trump could win again. Unless they DeSantis. I think there's a lot more light on DeSantis and the moves he's making. See, Trump, the sad thing is Trump is out the picture until they actually start running again. So he ain't relevant. DeSantis can be relevant still. So that's the advantage. And I'll say the knock would be is, do people want another 70-year-old up in there? That would be the knock, where DeSantis is a much younger man. Do you want another 70-year-old? Like, isn't America tired of being ran by, because all the presidents the last three have been baby boomers. Bush is one. He's a baby boomer too. So ain't it time for somebody other than a baby boomer to be up in there, all these old motherfuckers? Well, I guess they ain't really. You'd have to be born in 48, so maybe Trump ain't in there. But all these World War II people, or was born around World War II. Keeping rhythm is important. Yeah. I mean, especially when you two-step. Yeah. Whitney Houston. Yeah, my cousin wrote a book. My cousin is Michael Niderwald. He wrote a book about them together because he got a few hit songs with her. I think I'm Your Baby Tonight, the song from The Bodyguard. He wrote that song that she sang in The Bodyguard. I mean, she had one of the most purest voices of all time. Like if you look up my cousin's song, Delightful, where he's got Jeff Beck playing on lead and he's singing, and Cissy Houston is like one of the background singers. It sounds like Whitney if you listen to it, because she goes, with a little bit of love, but it goes, your love is delightful. He gets Jeff Beck. And I'll say this, without Jeff Beck, I would have never been able to hear Jimi Hendrix. But I heard Jeff Beck first. Before I ever heard Jimi Hendrix music, I heard Jeff Beck. So I always have loved Jeff Beck. But yeah, Whitney probably had the purest, and they had to destroy that. I mean, if you understand how Hollywood works, someone that had that much, like the sirens. If you ever study Greek mythology about the sirens, where this shit is so mesmerizing, motherfuckers just run into a goddamn rock with their shit. Well, that's the potential that Whitney had. It's like, I'm trying to give another example. but it was such a strong and pure voice. Like her first, "You Good Give Good Love," which a lot of people said "You Give Good Head," but that first album she made was outstanding. I questioned the people around her. They had her dancing and shit. She wasn't an entertainer. You know, they tried to make her something she really wasn't. But you can see the purpose for attacks. I mean, this chick, you got the purest voice in the world, and you smoke cigarettes. You know, I don't like that's something I don't get. Like I know a lot of women that became crack addicts, and they did crack, and then they started smoking cigarettes. I never understood that. I never understood how you didn't smoke cigarettes growing up, but you start smoking crack and then you start smoking cigarettes. Like I don't get 60-year-old people smoking cigarettes. I don't get that. I don't get that. I do not get that at all. 60 years old plus and you still smoking cigarettes. That makes no sense at all. Trump is a joke. Trump is a joke. Yeah, I mean, they like all on the same team. I agree with that. They all on the same team. They ain't really enemies. You got these motherfuckers in the Senate and Congress act like they ain't getting along, and Fox would talk shit, CNN would talk shit. These motherfuckers go have lunch with each other. You know, go to each other's bullshit, put money into each other's charities. So a lot of it is bullshit. A lot of it is bullshit. It really is. Presidents ain't chosen. They ain't chosen. Our votes don't count. I mean, you know, these motherfuckers set up a system where it ain't for the people. People don't vote for president. Electoral college should have been demolished. Talk about we got to have a way to balance it. No, that's some bullshit to keep control. They set up a system where they made the decision, and that's why they chose electoral college. Now, the other people, I mean, how do we get European Americans to stop voting for these people? That's the thing is like how the thing, I try to catch myself not saying this shit, but you got Europeans that still believe in these old dudes. And as I say, McCollum give $1 billion almost the last 20 years he been in there. He give $1 billion Kentucky every year, pork money. That's hard to beat. Dude coming in there. But let's remember, fucking Clan Jesse Helms was still elected into the 80s. This racist Klan segregationist. So this is who the system wanted in there. Hell, didn't Obama do obituary for Robert Byrd, another Klans member? So you think Obama is a good dude? And he's singing, talking at this Klan, and you got Hillary Clinton talking about she admired Margaret Sanger. I mean, what the fuck? What do you think about women getting butt injections? I'm going to stay neutral on that because I'm going to have a guest, and I think she had that, and I don't want to say nothing because I want her to come on my show because she sells crystals and shit, but I know she had all that done. So, and I thought she was pretty without it. I mean, of course, I didn't know her younger, but she's a pretty girl. I think she'd be pretty without it, but I don't really want to say nothing about that because I don't want to offend her. Glad you mentioned that. She was one of the purest voices ever. I saw a video where she was at an opera. The male singer hit a note. Whitney just played around and she sung better than the singer. Wow. Wow. Not surprised. So I'm not going to comment on that because I don't want to watch it like you talk shit about that. And I must get free because I want her to come onto the show. Plus, if you guys, she does sell crystals. So, but yeah, I wanted to get her on the show. So I'm gonna stay away from that because I don't want her coming back like the one Divineness. You know, this chick come back was like, you last year, some chick she didn't even know, and she come to me talking about, well, you threw spiritual arrows at somebody. I'm like, you don't know them. You ain't even friends with them on Facebook. So what's that got to do with anything? But you did it. And I'm like, okay, I admitted doing it. So, you know, I don't want to upset my guest. But yeah, one Divineness was silly. She was silly. In a opera voice, I might add. Wow. Wow. That's interesting. But I you know, seen all kind of entertainers. I met people that could sing that never got the chance to do anything with it. You know, just sing around people. So it's for every success, there's 20 failures. You know, the entertainment business, like hooping. I mean, the odds of a hooper making it now, when we're only talking about, I mean, NFL, you got 32 teams by 55, whereas the NBA, you got 32 teams by what, 11, 12? So, I mean, it's not a lot of spots. Not a lot of spots. Mm. It's funny you say something about the Klan. There's a black dude that plays for the New York Knicks named David Duke Jr. Yeah, yeah. Oh, they like it's a John Kennedy that's in the Senate. You think that's by accident? Just like Gerald Ford, real name wasn't Ford. Nicki Minaj started that. Mm. So we see these characters can change up and be new characters, change their name, color their hair. When they say, I'm going to make you love me. Then Morris Day said, I'm going to make you love me. Knowing that sports are rigged, do you think the Jordan flu game was scripted? No, I think he was probably drunk or hungover and got dehydrated from being drunk and hungover. That's what I'm guessing. And so it was harder for them to script it, but it was definitely something physically wrong with him. I mean, you can act, but a lot of that wasn't acting. He was kind of struggling, and that's the way. Like even if you listen to his description, he was dehydrated. Yeah, because he tries to tell you he was drinking some shit I never even heard of. What is that shit called? It's like a coffee Gatorade, and that's what he claimed dehydrated him. But and then saying he ate some bad pizza. No, that's no, Jordan was drunk and got dehydrated and didn't play well. Struggled. How did that get down there? Shoot. Well, guys, I think I've had it for tonight. But thank you for the ones that support me. Thank you for the ones that watch earlier. I appreciate it. You know, trying to put out a little more content. Still trying to get the background things put together. But thank you for bearing with me until I do that, or if I do that. I think I want to go another way about it because I just noticed that people want to look like radio, and I just don't know if I want to have a radio DJ setup because that's what the look is. The look is not made for television. The look is made for radio. And most people don't understand that some people watch you on television. And so if you're watched on television, do you want some big mic in your face? That ain't how television people do it. They had the mics clipped on. I think I'd rather go that route where I look like I'm ready for television. Because some people watch you on television. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. Okay. Yeah, I'd start at 12. Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you to say. Thank you. Jordan had food poisoning. Yeah, I don't think he had food poisoning. I think he was drunk. Jordan was, to understand him, I mean, he's simple dudes, man. They from Wilmington. These are simple dudes. They were simpletons. So, you know, like the way Juanita got him, you know, hit it a few times, got her pregnant. She was one of them girls, though. Cincinnati. You know, I watched them other people sin at these players. What happened with what? Said he said he spit on his pizza because they didn't buy him one in the hotel. The manager at the pizza said it made it. They made it for him personally. Yeah, he said he wouldn't let nobody else eat none. But like what he did with Buzz Peterson was cool. Buzz Peterson loaned him some shoes, and he gave Buzz Peterson pretty much free Nikes for life. Because Buzz coaches somewhere. But you know, like when Michael was a senior, Buzz Peterson, I think, was player of the year in North Carolina. It wasn't Michael, it was Buzz Peterson. And so Buzz Peterson signed up, you know, him and Mike were both with Carolina. Mike was like 6'3", I think, when he first went in, and he grew 3 more inches. Or he was like 6'4" and grew to 6'6". I think he's more like 6'5 and a half. but he grew. Buzz Peterson was a guard. I mean, you know, one guard, bring it up guard. So Buzz Peterson, you know, never became the spot in shooter that he needed. Could Jordan be an alcoholic? I think Jordan smoked weed, is why his eyes is all red. I mean, what, you know, I mean, yeah, dudes drink and get them red eyes, but most red eyes come from smoking them good herbs. So to say is he alcoholic, I mean, shit, I could say I'm an alcoholic, so it's hard for me to judge that part of him. But I look at that game as some other people saying he was drunk and he was hungover that next day. I mean, could be wrong. You think LeBron will catch Michael Jordan? I think he done passed him, especially in them career points and playoff points. Yeah, there's almost no real comparison other than saying he didn't win. But on a physical standpoint, I mean, LeBron, I mean, granted, he's a character, but from a physical basketball standpoint, he was more the perfect player. Like one coach, what did they say about Walter Payton? They said they chiseled, you know, the Good or God chiseled a running back and made Walter Payton. Well, I think more of the gifts was given to LeBron than Michael Jordan. He was given more gifts. But he was given more gifts in a different time, too. There was a lot of gifts that Michael got. I mean, Michael, again, the guy who went to Carolina ain't the guy who played in the pros. It's not him. Even the dudes who played against him in college said, this ain't the same dude. It's not. I played pickup with him. And that guy at Carolina ain't the guy that went into the league. Now, you get better playing against pros. What do you think about Dennis Rodman? Google got Barkley at 6'6" when he only Barkley ain't 6'6". Barkley shorter than Jordan. Rodman is an odd case, but you see where Rodman had handlers. Rodman went crazy. Rodman really, they stopped him from killing himself. That's what they don't tell you. The security people stopped him. He tell you that he fell asleep with them guns, but there's stories out of Detroit. The whole story was Vinnie Johnson was fucking his wife and everybody knew. And his wife was kind of cute. He had a daughter with that wife. I think it was his first wife. And he felt betrayed. He felt betrayed because teammates knew that Vinny was fucking his wife and nobody told him. And so that's why really, you know, he had that breakdown. He felt betrayed by his own teammates. Like he couldn't trust the people around him. Now, I've said, like, when you see him on Oprah, he's wearing the cheetah print. So he done bent over for somebody. But look at that Oprah interview. He's bent over for somebody because he's wearing the cheetah print. So he's showing you that he's in there. I try to look and see who's his handler. Who was his handler? I would guess Madonna was probably his first handler because he's so-called. Because they said Barkley dated Madonna, which I would have never. I mean, he wasn't an ugly young man, but he damn sure wasn't a handsome young man. That man, and he ain't never had no style. LeBron passed Kobe in points. I think he's 3 in scoring. Yeah, I think so too. About Magic and the Showtime Lakers. Yeah, I saw that. I wonder how deep they're going to get into it. I wonder how deep they're going to get into about Magic and the Showtime Lakers. They're going to show that room that Kareem had at first and then Magic got, where they was bumping off chicks in this room. They had a laid out room in the Forum. And then, you know, there's a club in the Forum where they would literally go from the games, get dressed, and go up in the club, and then the club be packed. So, because, you know, once Magic and Isaiah Thomas fell out, you know, Isaiah was the one that when the choir said that Magic had got HIV from a trans. That's what Isaiah had said. That's why they, like, it was funny that I don't even think they mentioned that when they brought them back together and they both cried, oh, you know. But I think Magic felt betrayed in a way. Well, like two things happened. A lot of the players was mad at Magic because Dr. Tucker stole from all of them. And Magic introduced all of them to Dr. Tucker. And I think they held bad feelings because I think they thought Magic was in on it. But Dr. Tucker fucked Magic around too, because you read Magic book, ain't no mention of his handler. His main handler was Dr. Tucker. Dr. Tucker took Magic around because Dr. Tucker knew all the pros, you know. So, but so that was a fallout too, you know, because Magic had they felt that Magic had something to do with the way Dr. Tucker stole money from them all. And you can look that up. Uh, Google say 6'5". That's a lie. I say Rock is 5'10". Yeah, Rock. Yeah, I don't think Rock is that tall either. You heard Magic go both ways? See, I never heard that growing up. I never heard that growing up. But I did hear about once he was in LA, Magic would fuck anybody. I mean anybody. And so a lot of them old dudes, yeah, Magic would fuck anybody they put in front of him. That's what they was amazed by. Anybody. It didn't matter how gross the old little decrepit looking dude looked. Magic would fuck him if that's what it took for Magic to push ahead. So yeah, Magic did go both ways. I'm sorry, I had to think about it. But I didn't never hear no stories as a young man. So, but again, he fucked around with a wizard. You know, Jerry Buss was a wizard, and that's who Magic was hooked into. So, went all that wizardry. But that's what Magic was known for, that he would fuck anybody. And Will Smith, there was another one. They said they would literally, like, you know, the stories of Will Smith fucking Quincy Jones. The microwave looked like a gremlin, and he was tagging. Yeah, and not a very handsome man either. I just saw the pic between the third. They towered over the rock. Yeah, I saw. Yeah, they towered over the rock. He ain't that tall. Aren't Jesuits, Freemason, Illuminati all the same? Yeah, it's the Jesuit is the new name for the Illuminati. That's all. It's a way of getting them peoples off the hook. It's the way of getting them peoples off the hook. Because it's them peoples. It ain't the Jesuits is like they CIA, they army, but it's them peoples behind the Jesuits. And that is one of my kind of things with Zach and them and all these Jesuit lovers. They let them peoples off the hook. You can't let them off the hook because they involved too. They more involved. They run everything. They run all the propaganda. They run all the movies, all the TV. Jesuits is the CIA of them. That is their military wing. So you tell the whole story, and they don't tell that. They say it ends and begins with the Jesuits. Like ain't nobody in charge but just the Jesuits. That's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. That's why I get into Isabella. Isabella put her foot in their ass, and all of them. When you say wizard, what exactly do they do? You think magic had AIDS? Absolutely not. When you say wizards, well, as I said before, it appears like it was a point in time where the wizards got defeated and probably frozen. That's my guess, as they got frozen. That's what it appeared. Somewhere in the mid 15th century, they figured out a way to unfreeze these wizards. And this is why you see the jump in technology in Europe with the metal swords that turns into guns, shields. And so if you look at a wizard compared to a sorcerer, because a sorcerer means source, so he works for the source magic, a wizard would work the opposite. It would work with negative magic, the negative side of magic. So I guess that's just making it easy. It would be the negative aspect of magic, because magic, you know, it's a positive way to use magic and a negative way to use magic. And a lot of the way we see it used against us is negative. You know why they called it magic? And I thought I saw a whole Sports Illustrated with Bust dressed up like a wizard too. Probably was. Like his daughter was a bust down girl. MK Ultra Sex Kitten. I mean, this chick is in her 30s in Playboy. You know, she ain't, and back then they had the bubble booties of, you know, having the implants in the boobs. She ain't had none of that. They done told her she cute, so she then showed her boobs in Playboy. Karl Malone stopped Magic from playing. Yeah, after the Dream Team, he did. They gave Magic all that money. Karl Malone thought he was better than Michael Jordan too. Karl Malone figured with Magic out the way, it would be his league, because he figured he was better than Michael Jordan. Wasn't true. Karl Malone was another one that they hyped up. Most of it. Look at it. I wish I could edit a video and show all his free throws. How many points of his career thing he shot from the free throw line. I bet it's like 80% of the points he scored was from free throw line. Yeah, that's probably a lot. You make it through anything of Magic can make it. Kanye can't tell me nothing. You make it though, if anything. Magic can make it. Kanye can't tell me nothing. Yeah, Magic didn't have that shit. That's some made up shit to sell condoms. That was some made up shit to take away free love. That's really what it was about, to kill free love. Because free love was full effect from the 70s, 60s, 70s, went into the 80s, still was free love. I mean, it was still, you go to a bar, it was the woman's expectation to take somebody home and man expectation. You know, in the 70s, 80s, that was the expectation. Go to a bar and bring somebody back with you, looking for Mr. Goodbar. And they didn't like that shit. It was too many people getting along, too many people loving each other. And so they brought something to, you know, now, like my ex-wife's generation, she's 47, you know, she's from a condom generation. Like women 50 and above, they really don't fuck with condoms as much. Women about 47 and below, you know, they the condom girls. They pretty much in their teenage years when they got boned, they use condoms. That's just, you know, because of you fuck somebody, you can get this AIDS. Yeah, wasn't that easy. Most of these elite Bohemian Grove body busters, most booty busters, most of these clown celebrities are down with them. Yeah, that's what we was talking about. You know, when they wear the leopard print, that show you that women is with it. I showed Molly Curran, and I showed Lisa, whatever her name is, Salters. I showed Lisa Salters when they wore that shit. Like when Molly Curran wore that shit on First Take. The other one, the Taylor on whatever that what is that weirdo's name? That got the Taylor sister that played for Miami, that's in the Hall of Fame, his sister. What is his name? He come on before Speak for Yourself. Colin, I think is his name. But she was in the leopard print, so they all show you that they with it, you know. What is this? Oops. Malone tried to go after Kobe's wife. Wow. Well, guys, I'm gonna read more, and I'm gonna have to go. Sorry. Mora, it all starts with a gentle sadness. They came from their original homeland. They knew that they had exact numbers of years and days before they would disappear off the earth as a culture and a lifestyle. But the civilization would build to a gentle love. They lived in the Creator's day and knew how to separate cycles in the Great Serpent. And to all my relations, I am another yourself. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you very much. Till we meet again, say less.